this video, I want to break down some of the costs associated with retiring to an RV, what the overall costs or monthly costs are going to be, step by step. I want to go over some of the items I believe that you're going to incur, and you let me know if I've left anything out. So, we're going to start with the RV itself. You can take a look at a couple of options. The first you could start with would be a small or compact RV, something like my 26-foot Jayco. This is a travel trailer, pull behind. Um, these can run you anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000, depending on the year it was made. If it's upwards of 10 years old, you're going to get a better deal. You could go bigger, such as this, but now we're talking about 25 to 40,000. Once again, these are all used prices. It depends on what your budget is. Smaller ones still have everything that you're going to need in order to live in it. 150 to 200 square feet. It's easy to pull, it's easy to park, and you're just going to be limited when it comes to storage space. But everything you need is going to be there on the inside. When buying used, you also know someone has worked out some of the kinks, but they might have made some as well. Keep all that in mind. But it is doable. Now, when it comes to a larger RV, it comes with everything that the smaller one had, but it also has extra storage space. Also, it's going to tow a little bit better, but it's going to cost you more in fuel. So you do have positives and drawbacks. But you're also looking at around 300 to 400 square feet of living space. And it's going to be tougher to fit it in places that you might be able to get the smaller one in, and it's going to be more to keep up with in general. So we have the size and the cost. Now we have to talk about vehicles. Getting the wrong vehicle could cost you in the long run when it comes to towing. What do I mean? Well, a travel trailer, like the Jayco I showed you, only requires a half-ton pickup to pull it. So you could do that with a half-ton pickup and never have any issues of compatibility. In other words, it can handle the size, the load, and the haul. It has the motor and it has the suspension capabilities of pulling a 5,000 to 7,000 pound vehicle. However, when you start moving up to a 35-foot fifth wheel that weighs 10,000 plus pounds and is hitched in the bed of the truck, you're talking about needing a much larger and more capable vehicle. So we've talked about the RV, big and small, and we've talked about the truck, big and small. And you see a theme here. What I'm going with is that there are variables to the cost. There are things that could cost you more or less based on what your budget's like or what your needs are. What I want to talk about next is fuel, because if you are traveling, you're going to be spending fuel. If you travel a lot, you're going to spend a lot in fuel. And if you travel a little or you're permanently based out of an RV, then you're not going to be spending near as much. And so that's going to be advantageous for you. But that's not the case for everybody. In my situation, I plan on traveling. I want to go out and see the sights. I want to check out the world. So it's probably going to cost me more in fuel. And all of that's going to vary based on the type of vehicle you end up with, whether it's gasoline or diesel, how heavy the load that you're pulling, so a travel trailer or a fifth wheel, and how much traveling you're doing. We go back to that 333 rule, no more than 300 miles in a day, don't arrive after 3 o'clock, those type of things. If you travel 300 miles and you're getting 10 miles to the gallon, you're spending a lot, regardless if it's gas or diesel. But a diesel can do it easier with less wear and tear on the vehicle, but the fuel is going to cost you more. For an entire month, you're probably looking at somewhere between $250 to $650 in fuel. And that adds up over the course of a year. But once again, it depends on how far you're traveling. If you're only going a few hours away, you might only spend $40 or $50 in fuel. You stay there for a week, and then you go somewhere else, 40 or 50 miles away. You stay there for a week. You follow me? You can keep your costs down, but it is based on how far you want to go. Next, I want to talk about where you're going to stay. Now, staying at campgrounds is the ideal option, obviously, because you're in a camper. Campgrounds can vary a lot in price, starting with RV resorts. Now, RV resorts are the big, fancy, with all the amenities, pools and jacuzzis and dog parks and kids' playgrounds and all this stuff. There's green grass and concrete pads. It's really nice. And you're usually really close to some of the local attractions, but you're going to pay for it. You might pay 60, 100 or more per night. That can get expensive quick. There's 365 days in a year. If you're paying $100 a night, ooh, that's going to get rich quick. Now, a lot of places will offer weekly or monthly stays at a discounted rate, but there are other options besides RV resorts, such as just regular RV campgrounds, privately owned, and you can get away with a lot less expense. Yeah, you'll have less amenities, but you're also not living up the lifestyle, if you know what I mean. And then there's also state parks. State parks are a great way to go, and you can get some discounts being a senior. There are programs that you can buy into that get you very good access and low rates at state parks all across the United States. And they usually are reasonable in price. You can get as low as $40 a night or maybe less. And the downside is they typically don't have monthly specials because they only allow approximately 14 days, but that varies state by state. Finally, I'm going to mention one last thing, and that's boondocking. Now, boondocking is where you are staying on land that is free or close to free, but there are no hookups, no electric, water, or sewer. Now, these places are very remote and they're primarily on the West Coast. However, you want to talk about saving dollars. It's free. You can't save any more than that. Now, I've heard there are some places that are $14 for 2 week stay. And typically, depending on where you go, they want you to move to a new location every 2 weeks. But you can just go from place to place to place every 2 weeks and not pay anything. But you got to bring your own water, your own electrical, whether you got a solar system or a generator or a big bank of batteries. But either way, you got to be able to charge that up. And you also have to carry out your own waste. So there's no sewer hookup, and you have to find places to dump. But it is very doable and it is very cost saving. There are people that full time boondock. The BLM, or Bureau of Land Management, is a place that you can find information on that, and it's run by the federal government. And there are tons and tons of places. There are cities, parks, and so on that have free camping as well. You have to do your own research to find that in other areas. All I am speaking of specifically is the BLM land because that's the one I know the most about. But that's a savings. But either way, you could be looking at significant cost just to find a place to live. So I want to talk about the daily living expenses. Daily living expenses can vary so much, but there's things that are just going to happen. Basically, everybody out there has a cell phone, so you're going to have that cost. You have insurance on your vehicles, registration. Those things are going to come up yearly, monthly for your insurance, cell phone, and if you have a data plan or you have Starlink or something like that, you also have laundry. You got to wash your clothes. So that's going to be a cost as well. And unless you have one of those fancy rigs that has a washer and dryer built into it, you're going to be going to the laundromat. So what's that going to cost you? $10 a week? Something like that? Cell phones, $50 to $90 a month. If you have Starlink, it's $150 a month, possibly. So it depends on what you need. But a cell phone's not going to get you streaming television services in the middle of the desert or way out in the mountains. You might not even have service. And that's where those satellite based internet services do come in handy. It all depends on what your budget can afford. But $150 a month, you're looking at $1,500 a year. Doesn't seem like a whole lot, but once you start putting everything together, it can add up. You also have groceries, and groceries is going to be another variable cost. Are you by yourself and it's only going to cost you $500 a whole month? Or is there two of you and it's 1,000? Or maybe you really like to eat good and it's $1,600 a month. Now that's something that's going to be entirely up to you. $500 to $1,500 a month, even more. Now, if you're parking somewhere, leaving your RV and jumping in the truck and going out to dinner all the time, well, guess what? It just went up even further. So the variable costs are really hard to nail down, and I couldn't tell you specifically one way or the other, but you have to factor them in when you're budgeting to live full time in the RV life. So having a budget for your monthly expenses that you know you're going to run into should also include if you have an RV payment, if you have a truck payment. But those things, once again, are variable based on you. So I can't say whether you will or will not. Did you buy the $40,000 truck? Or did you buy the $7,000 truck? Or the $50,000 RV or the $10,000 RV? That really is going to be in your ballpark as far as what you have. And are you going to have it paid off by the time you're ready to go? But you will have insurance, you will have registration, and you will have maintenance. Not only maintenance on your vehicle, oil changes, wiper blades, tire rotations, transmission services, but also on your RV. That RV is not going to last forever traveling down a bumpy road thousands and thousands of miles and miles. You are going to have to maintain things. You are going to have to do things. And if you can't do it, make sure you budget so that you can afford to take it somewhere. And also, it's kind of hard to drop your house off somewhere to get worked on. And where are you going to live? In your truck? So figure that part out as well. If you can't do it and you got to take it somewhere, make sure that you got a place to go. A friend or a family member you're visiting, and you set up an appointment, whatever. So what are the costs that leaves us with? We got an RV that can run between $5,000 and $40,000. You have a truck that could be $6,000 to $15,000. You got $250 to $650 a month in fuel costs, $400 to $2,000 a month in grocery and daily expenses, your cell phone and internet services and things like that, subscriptions that you have to whatever streaming service you have, that runs $75 to $300 a month, depending on how many you have. Groceries, $500 to $1,500 a month, depending on what kind of baller you are. And that maintenance, $150 to $400 a month. Depends on what you want to budget for, but I would lean towards the middle to high end just to be safe. By the way, if you're enjoying the content and you want to see more of it, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get reminded when I post again. So without the purchase of an RV or a truck, and just the monthly expenditures that you might run into, between all the items that I've ran across, you're looking at somewhere between $1,375 a month on the low end to $4,850 on the high end. So it really depends on what your budget's going to be. What kind of income will you have coming in while you're on the road? Or do you have a big savings account? I don't. So I know I'm not going to be at the $4,800 mark for sure. But, we didn't even talk about entertainment. I mean, the whole purpose of being on the road is to be able to enjoy the road itself and what's out there and all the places to go see. Not all of it's going to cost money, but I'm sure there's going to be some, and you might want to take that canoe ride or jump in a helicopter every once in a while. So that's just one more cost to figure in. But today we're just talking about the generalized costs that you can run into between your vehicle, your gas, your RV stays, maintenance, insurance, cell phones, and all those type of things. The normal everyday life expenses that you're going to have on the road. So I have a question for you. Do you think you can swing it? Do you think you can make it work? Do you have a side hustle? Do you have a fat 401k that's going to help you get through all this, or a nice stuffy pension? I'm not trying to sound bitter or anything. Sorry. I don't have one. Leave a comment in the section below that tell me what you're doing. What is your plan? What is your goal? Which end of the spectrum are you going to be on? And if you think I left anything out, because I'm sure I did, it would be way too long of a video if I just went into super detail about all the things that are going to cost money. No matter where you think you're going to land in this spectrum, don't forget about the whole purpose of doing this, the memories that you're going to gain, the experiences, because you can't buy that. You can buy nice cars, you can buy nice things, but you cannot buy experiences. You cannot buy quality time with loved ones or by yourself for that matter. And you certainly are not going to get the satisfaction by going to work every day and punching a clock. So if you have any questions or anything, please drop it in the comments. And I look forward to talking to you guys on our next video. Please make sure that you see the little subscribe button in the corner, or you see the next video or the last video in the corner. Click on those things. Make sure you subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button and check out my other videos. Thanks for watching. Be good humans.